CJ Flyer back with another YouTube video. Today teaching you how to create the most authentic March Madness college basketball experience in NBA 2K25. But before we get started, if you're just looking for a college basketball quick play option, from the main menu, click on Play Now, then Quick Play. From there, click down on the left stick and select to load a user-created roster. Scroll down the hot list and select NCAA 2K25 at Prof 2K Tweets roster created by Professor 2K. Once the roster loads, you'll see the option to play with up to 30 current-day college basketball teams with real players. Now again, this is good for a quick play option. However, with only 30 teams available to play with, there are quite a few notable teams missing, including St. John's, Michigan, Michigan State, Missouri, and Clemson, who are all in the top 25 at the time that I am recording this video. Additionally, some of the team uniforms don't quite match the real-life counterparts. That being said, this is still a great alternative for some instant college basketball gameplay. Now let's cover how to create the most authentic college basketball experience possible in NBA 2K25 using the MyNBA mode. From the main menu, click on MyNBA Eras, then MyNBA, and then select an empty save slot to create a new file. Now click on the Modern Era. After the cutscene plays, you're going to go to Setup Options and make sure you turn on Customize League Rules, Customize Roster, Customize League, Customize Simple Settings, and Customize Advanced Settings. For advanced CBA rules, turn all of those rules off. For role-playing elements, this is up to your own discretion, but I've gone ahead and turned them off too. For budget and finances, turn off the salary cap and the hard cap. You should also turn off the NBA Cup and FIBA tournament. And then once you go ahead and advance from there, you'll be given the option to pick a roster. Select the user-created roster option. Now, whether on the PS5 or Xbox Series X or S, you're going to see an NCAA option a few rows down, at least at the current time that I'm recording this on March 1st, 2025. As I said earlier in the video, that roster only has up to 30 current day college basketball teams and doesn't include several of the top 25 teams. So with that being said, I do not recommend using that roster. In fact, I think there is an even better roster available that doesn't appear immediately on the hot list of rosters. So go ahead and click triangle on the PS5 or Y on the Xbox Series X or S, select search by online ID, and then type the username tooeasy_just_quit. You should see a roster named NCAA 2K25 24-25 college season. Unfortunately, I haven't found a social media handle for this PS5 user, but shout out to him for making these detailed rosters. He also helped make some March Madness rosters last year in NBA 2K24. As it says in the description, it is still a work in progress, last updated on Christmas. However, there are over 60 current day college basketball teams and 30 all-time college basketball teams available in this roster file. Now, once you go ahead and select to download that roster file, you have the option to customize the league. Now, to access the college teams of your choosing, each current day NBA team is actually associated with a college team. So for example, Duke is associated with the Memphis Grizzlies and Marquette is associated with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So depending on which teams you want to use for your March Madness experience, you can go ahead and mix and match them to your liking. If you click Add New and add a team, there's a whole bunch of other college teams associated with different classic team rosters, and then the all-time NBA teams are actually all-time college rosters such as North Carolina, which includes players such as Vince Carter, Michael Jordan, and Kenny Smith. I'll include the full list of which NBA teams are associated with which college basketball teams in a pinned comment below. So once you've customized the league as you see fit, go ahead and advance to the settings setup. For this exercise, I've turned autosave off. Now from here on out, everything is my list of personal recommendations. There is a regular season that you'll have to play or simulate, and so I recommend putting it to a 29-game season. Of course, if you have more than 30 teams, you'll instead see a number ranging from 30 to 35 games. It's going to be different based on the number of teams in your league because it's basically the setting in which every team gets to play every opponent one time in the regular season before going to the playoffs. Quarter length I set to 10 minutes to simulate the college experience where we have two 20-minute halves. Unfortunately, you can't change the quarters to halves, but this will at least get the stats and the experience to be as authentic as possible. Most important, of course, is if you scroll down to the playoff length setup, make sure to set every round to be one game so it's single elimination rounds as opposed to the NBA where it's a best of 7 series per round. Now click the right trigger 3 times to proceed to the contract settings. turn off the contracts and salary cap. And then most important, click the right trigger again to go to the trade settings and make sure you turn off trade logic, CPU trade offers, and CPU to CPU trades so that you don't have players transferring to different schools mid-season. Click the right trigger once again and you're in the injury settings. I recommend turning injuries off, but it's up to your own discretion, however you want to play out your March Madness experience. Click the right trigger 3 more times and you're in the difficulty settings. Of course, this is also up to your own discretion on how you want to play out your March Madness experience. Once you're finished adjusting all of the appropriate settings, click to advance and there will be the association rules setup menu. Now these settings are crucial for making the rules as authentic as possible to the modern college game, making the rule changes to be more like college basketball rather than the NBA. Of course, not all of the rule changes are available, but a lot of them are, so I'll go through each one that I recommend setting up. First, click the right trigger 5 times to go to the shot clock rule changes and change the shot clock from 24 seconds to 30 seconds as it is in college basketball. Also change the shot clock reset rule from partial reset to a full duration reset. Click the right trigger once more to go to the foul out rule changes and change from 6 fouls to 5 fouls. Of course, in college basketball, it takes 5 fouls to foul out as opposed to in the NBA where it takes 6 times to foul out. Click the right trigger again to go to the lane violation and zone defense rule changes. Now, for those of you that are not aware, the defensive key violation is very much specific to the NBA and not present in college basketball in any sense, so I've gone ahead and eliminated that violation while allowing zone defenses. Click the right trigger again to go to the 8-second violation rule changes and change the time to advance from 8 seconds to 10 seconds as it is in college basketball. Click the right trigger 2 more times for the playoff rule changes. Instead of having conference-based seeding, I recommend changing this setting so that the top teams across the league are seeded irrespective of conference finish based on record. Click the right trigger once more to go to the possession arrow rule changes and replace the jump ball with a possession arrow rule as it is in college basketball. Click the right trigger once more to go to the bonus rule changes. Unfortunately for these rules, you can't adjust them to be exactly like college basketball since the game is played in 4 quarters instead of 2 halves as I mentioned previously. However, we can still set up a 1+1 bonus rule as opposed to in the NBA where when you enter the bonus you are always guaranteed to get 2 free throw attempts. Make this adjustment for both the quarters and the overtime period. Click the right trigger 4 more times for the transition fouls rule changes and change the rule to players are able to foul opponents in transition without added penalty. Click the right trigger 3 more times for the replay review rule changes and remove the coach's challenge. Lastly, click the right trigger 6 more times for the contracts rule changes and eliminate short-term contracts to prevent the CPU from signing new players mid-season. Now that you've done all the rule changes, it's time to finally select a team. Now again, if you want this to be truly authentic and you want every team to have their appropriate college branding, you're going to select all the teams to be under your control, and then what you'll do is one by one go to every single team, go to the navigation menu by clicking circle on PS5 or B on the Xbox Series X or S, select front office, then select team relocation, then select 2K share team design, and then select download team designs. In this example, I'm currently controlling the Memphis Grizzlies, which of course, as I said earlier, is associated with Duke, and I would like to download a Duke team branding package to apply to the team. So in the 2K share team design menu, click triangle on the PS5 or Y on the Xbox Series X or S, and search by the school or mascot keyword associated with the team you're controlling. So for this example, I'll search Duke. As you can see, there is a ton of different options with some looking more authentic than others. It ultimately depends on your preference as far as which one you decide to use. Nonetheless, for this video, I've gone ahead and downloaded this design right here. Now, as you're playing with these rosters, if there's some attributes or some animations that you really don't like and you don't think are true to the real life players' jump shot animations or what have you, you can always make those adjustments yourself by manually editing the specific player in the roster editor within MyNBA. As I said earlier, it's going to be the top 16 teams in college basketball making it into the playoffs, into the March Madness single elimination bracket. So unfortunately, we can't really set up a playoff bracket to be 64 teams like in real life, but we can at least get it down to the Sweet 16. One other downside is the games cannot be held at neutral locations, and whichever team is designated as the quote-unquote home team, they're going to have the home court advantage while playing the game. You can, however, manually update the home team's branding with a March Madness specific court once you've made it to the playoffs, so it at least looks somewhat more authentic, even though there is going to be that home court advantage when the away team is shooting free throws and whatnot. Once the season is over and you've completed the March Madness tournament, you'll proceed to the offseason menu. Now, of course, with the NBA, there's going to be free agency, there's going to be a draft, there's going to be player retirement, and et cetera, et cetera. So it would be difficult to play more than one season. However, If you did want to play multiple seasons of college basketball in NBA 2K25 with the modern era of college sports, some players may transfer to 2 or 3 different schools over the course of their college career. So the auto-generated players in the draft could be treated as freshmen, and free agents could be treated as players in the transfer portal. However, you'd have to manually track which players are seniors to retire them or delete them from the rosters, which could be a little bit tedious, but that would essentially be the workaround you'd have to use in order to make it play out in multiple seasons, just like real-life college basketball. Now, if you're interested in playing the real-life Sweet 16 matchups, I will be creating a MyNBA scenario with the roster settings and rules listed in this video and updating the team branding to be specific to this year's March Madness tournament. I'll have a new video going over the specifics of that MyNBA scenario file once we've reached the Sweet 16. Additionally, time permitting, I'll attempt to create college basketball rosters for the PS4 and Xbox One within the coming weeks, as I really didn't find any good quality college basketball rosters available on the last generation of consoles, and I feel like all the players over there deserve to have at least something that they can use to play out some college basketball. That being said, click one of the videos on your screen right now for some more NBA 2K25 tutorials.